Mass Mary got me.
I had to take my glasses off because I can't see what I'm on here.
I'm all fogged up.
They get all fogged up, right?
Yep.
So without the glasses.
This is take care of you, don't
Actually, I don't want you to feel too special. I did it for everybody.
you? You know what? I don't know about it. You treat anybody differently. You know that. Oh, I am?
I didn't forget you, though.
No, I am. Every now and then someone tries to treat me better, my wife home with me very quickly.
Okay, we are live.
So you let us know when we're ready.
We're ready. For some reason, there's a picture that says zoning board, but the words say township committee.
Okay, we're on, we're live.
Yes.
I'd like to call this 7 PM work session to order.
Please take notice that in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 10:4-6 et sec, and in consideration of Executive Order Number 103 issued by Governor Murphy on March 9, 2020, declaring a state of emergency in the state of New Jersey, the Township Committee of the Township of Wyckoff does hereby notify the public that to protect the health, safety, and welfare of our citizens while ensuring the continued functioning of government, the meeting of the Township Committee of the Township of Wyckoff, scheduled for 7 p.m. Thursday, June 4th, 2020, at Wyckoff Town Hall, 340 Franklin Avenue, Wyckoff, New Jersey, 07481, will be conducted via the Township of Wyckoff's YouTube channel, and members of the public may call 201-891-60 7000, extension 222, should they wish to provide public comment during the 7 p.m. public comment period. These measures are implemented to allow members of the public to observe the meeting via live streaming and to provide the ability to comment during the period for public comment during the meeting. Due to the COVID-19 public health emergency, members of the public will not have access to Town Hall. General instructions regarding access to the meeting will be posted on the Wyckoff website's homepage at wyckoff-nj.com as a news item on Friday, May 29th, 2020 at 4:30 p.m. To view the live stream Township Committee meeting, please access the YouTube link, which will be posted on the Wyckoff website's homepage at wyckoff-nj.com as a news item immediately prior to the commencement of the meeting at approximately 6:55 p.m. on June 4th, 2020. To be notified of all future live stream Township meetings, please create a YouTube account and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Township of Wyckoff. May I have a roll call? Mr. Boonstra?
Here?
Ms. Fisher?
Here.
Ms. Rubenstein?
Here.
Mr. Madigan?
Here.
Mayor Shanley?
Here. We'll wait till it's.
May I have a motion to open the public comment period?
So moved.
Second.
We don't want to do the open public, don't want to do the open work session?
Mr. Boonstra?
Yes.
Ms. Fisher?
Yes.
Ms. Rubenstein?
Yes.
Mr. Madigan?
Yes.
Mayor Shanley?
Yes. All right, now's the time for public comment. If anyone wants to call in, we'll wait for some calls. 201-891-7000, extension 222.
I just had a point of order. Did we officially do the open work
Yes,
session, or was that incorporated?
that's what Nancy read.
So that was totally.
Oh, no,
correct.
I read
Just
the
wanna
Open
make-
Meeting Act.
Okay, because I don't think we read it.
Okay, sorry. Please take notice that in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 10:4-6 et sec, and in consideration of Executive Order 103, issued by Governor Murphy on March 9th, 2020, declaring a state of emergency in the state of New Jersey, the Township Committee of the Township of Wyckoff does hereby notify the public that to protect the health, safety, and welfare of our citizens while ensuring the continued functioning of government, the meeting of the Township Committee of the Township of Wyckoff, scheduled for 8 p.m., Tuesday, May 19th,
We should answer
Thursday, June 4th, at Wyckoff Town Hall, 340 Franklin Avenue, Wyckoff,
Can you
New Jersey,
just hold for a minute, please?
Of course.
Thank you.
will be conducted virtually through Zoom technology, and it will be live streamed on the Township of Wyckoff's YouTube channel. Due to the COVID-19 public health emergency, members of the public will not have access to Town Hall. These measures are implemented to allow members of the public to observe the meeting via live streaming and to provide the ability to comment during the periods for public comment during the meeting through telephone call-in technology. Joining the meeting by telephone will be utilized to share comments from the public. General instructions regarding access to the meeting will be posted on the Wyckoff website's homepage at wyckoff-nj.com as a news item on Friday, May 29th, 2020 at 4:30 p.m. To view the live stream Township Committee meeting, please access the YouTube link, which will be posted on the Wyckoff website's homepage at wyckoff-nj.com as a news item immediately prior to the commencement of the meeting at approximately 6:55 p.m. on June 4th, 2020. To be notified of all future live stream Township meetings, please create a YouTube account and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Township of Wyckoff.
Okay, we have public comment now, so we have somebody on the line. Would you please state your name and address for the record?
Yes, good evening. This is Carl Rizzo on behalf of myself and my wife Ann Rizzo of 245 Demarest Avenue. And I am just following up committee and Mayor Shanley on the email I communicated to the town on May 20 as a result of my conversation I had with your township attorney, Robert Landell. As you may recall, I provided a letter to the Township Committee back on April 15th detailing facts and concerns regarding the improper diversion of storm waters, damaging silts and debris that are being deposited onto my property and ponds, which is causing the eutrophication of the ponds, which is essentially killing them with the loss of volume and introduction of vegetative matter that decomposes and strips the oxygen and light from the ponds. I subsequently made a telephonic presentation to the township on April 21, wherein I offered a heartfelt plea for your assistance in helping us maintain and keep our ponds a community natural treasure, which we believe it is. Thereafter, we were grateful to have received a call I referenced from Township Attorney Robert Landell. We spoke at length and frankly about the basis and substance of our concerns and claims and the legal obligations of the township to maintain and repair the easement areas, including our ponds, which have been co-opted as part of the township's stormwater system. The substance of my conversation with Mr. Landell was confirmed in my email to the Township Committee dated May 20, when we have asked the township to take action. We therefore wanted to follow up with this board to receive an update as to responses to our pressing concerns and inquiries, and that's what I'm doing at this time.
That's correct. I spoke to Mr. Rizzo by phone a few weeks ago. I've done some research, and I had it on my list to discuss tonight.
I'm sorry, I can barely make out what you're saying.
Mr. Rizzo, this is Rob Landell. I was just stating that it's correct that we spoke by the phone a few weeks ago. I've done some research, and I had it on my list to discuss with the Township Committee tonight in closed session. I think this is probably the first closed session we've had since I've done the research and we spoke. I also spoke to a member of the management company for the Condominium Association, which is upstream from Mr. Rizzo. So I'll have a discussion with the Township Committee tonight.
Okay, again, Robert, I apologize, but I really can barely make out anything you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what like oh, it's a phone?
It's the phone.
Oh. Yeah, I remember this from the planning board meeting. Sorry, Beth. Is
Yeah,
it all right
no worries.
if I stand there? Yeah.
I hear you much better now.
Yeah, I have to walk over by the phone. So, I just basically told the Township Committee that, yes, we did speak a few weeks ago. I've done some research. I spoke to the management company, the Condominium Association upstream, and I was prepared to discuss the issues with the Township Committee in closed session tonight. This is the first closed session we've had since I've done the research, and I'm going to talk to them about it tonight, and then I can report back to you.
Okay.
Okay.
I just wanted to, I mean, in following up to that, and I appreciate that, essentially there are two critical elements to this issue. A, what can be done on a going forward basis to prevent the problem articulated in my prior communications from continuing? And B, what options are being considered to address the existing problem of silt and debris buildup currently present in our ponds, which has clearly been caused by the upstream contributors, including not only Barrister Court, Township, but also Boulder Run. In regards to addressing the issue on a going forward basis, the following questions we believe need to be considered. Has the township verified what stormwater easements are maintained by the township in the vicinity of our property? Does the township have any stormwater easements onto and over our property? Our records do not reflect any such easements, but we all know that on a de facto basis, indeed an implied easement has been foisted upon our property. Has the township been able to verify whether there are any stormwater flow control filtration systems in place between the Boulder Run Mall and our property? If so, are these stormwater control systems being properly maintained so they function effectively? If not, then it is essential that such systems be introduced at this time. Is anyone who passes by our property on a daily basis will attest, my wife and I continue to work tirelessly to make our ponds and our property one that is a treasure and beautiful natural resource in our community, universally loved by all and even described by one neighbor as, quote, Wyckoff's second nature center. In the end, the very health and beauty of our ponds are at substantial risk, and corrective remedial action must be taken. We stand ready to participate, but clearly cannot and should not be shouldering this burden alone. With that, we are anxious to hear what the township is prepared to do to correct and remedy this situation for which it plainly shares a burden, obligation, and duty to act. We thus are very interested in what next steps the township is prepared to take, and I will await, communication from the township at this point in view of what Mr. Landell has said.
Thank you, Mr. Rizzo. Anything else?
Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks. All right, if there's any other public comments, please call 201-891-7000, extension 222. We'll leave it open for a few minutes.
Tim, do you want to wait the 10 minutes? You wanna-
It's not a bad idea. How long, when did we
Well,
start?
We
About-
already used up the 10 minutes.
We didn't start at 7:06.
Yes, he's correct.
So I don't know if you want to wait 4 more minutes, and I'll make a motion to close.
Give it a few more minutes.
All right, hearing no one else call in, and with the understanding there is another opportunity at the 8 o'clock meeting for public comment, I'll make a motion to close public comment for the work session.
May I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Boonstra?
Yes?
Ms. Fisher?
Yes.
Ms. Rubenstein?
Yes.
Mr. Madigan?
Yes.
Mayor Shandling?
Yes. Nancy, have we confirmed the Finance Committee has reviewed and signed the vouchers?
Yes.
Very good. Bob, can we do a review of the 8 PM business meeting?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, we can.
Thank you.
I just want to point out, this is the second meeting with the agenda style modified to precisely detail which items are approved by roll call vote and which items are approved by voice vote. We have 2 resolutions that were not on the agenda as of last Friday, May 29th. One is to accept the donation of a scoreboard, and the other is to refund overpayments. There is a revised agenda that Nancy has placed this on your desk. Those are the only 2 changes I have at this time. There may be others that are discussed, but those are the 2 that I have at this point.
Bob, if I could interrupt you, I was going to bring this up under my report. On 2013, the scoreboard,
Yes.
I have a comment under discussion. I do not plan to vote in the alternative. I don't need to remove that just for a comment, do I?
No, I don't think so. No.
Okay,
It's more
then
about
under
vote.
discussion, I just want to make a comment. A request, actually. Other than that, I'm fine. Okay, thank you.
I guess I should ask, does anyone wish to remove any matter from the consent agenda?
No.
No.
Okay. Otherwise, the ordinance is as posted with resolutions and ordinances as of Friday, May 29th on our website and distributed as per the Open Public Meetings Act. If there are any questions, I can address them. If not, Mr. Mayor, I can move on to the next item.
Yes, please.
Okay. On Tuesday, July 7th, is the rescheduled primary election. The governing body has a meeting scheduled for that evening. I'd like to ask you if you would like to have one meeting in July or reschedule that meeting, possibly the Monday, July 6th, or possibly Thursday, July 9th.
Bob, you think we'll have any pressing business that we'll have to have that meeting in July that you could think of?
No, I don't think so. Anything that's introduced tonight, such as the ordinance on the consent agenda, will have a public hearing and further consideration on the second meeting in July, because if we don't have the meeting on July 7th,
Okay.
or the day before or the day after.
What is everyone's feeling on whether or not we just cancel the meeting?
What's our lead time to cancel the meeting? Do we need to make the decision tonight, or can we do it on the 16th? We'll have a better understanding on the 16th, what we'll be facing on the 7th.
That's a good point. I believe Bob, is it right we could wait till the 16th to make the decision on whether or not to cancel the July meeting?
No, we're not going to be able to do that
No.
because the ordinance we're introducing this evening, well, I guess you could. The ordinance we're introducing this evening
We
to
can hear it
appropriate
on,
money,
at the next one.
we need to advertise that as soon as possible for the next meeting. So if the next meeting, I suspect we could advertise it for the second meeting in July.
Okay. So now would be the time to decide if we're holding that meeting or moving it to another date.
Is that what you said, Bob?
Excuse me?
Is that what you said?
I was
I
asked,
said now, well, the way I interpreted what you said, Bob, tonight is the night we should decide because we're gonna have to advertise whether or not we're gonna put that ordinance on that meeting.
I thought
And
you
we'd have
said you
to-
could wait.
either that or I can schedule it for the second meeting in July.
Okay.
So it'll just be adopted 30 days later and not 15 days
Okay.
later. I mean, that's if you desire flexibility, a little additional time to determine what you would wish to do with
And
it.
we're only having one meeting in August, correct?
Correct.
I mean, just for the record, I'm flexible. Whatever the consensus of the governing body is fine with me.
Bob, what's your recommendation?
My recommendation would be to have one meeting in July and one meeting in August.
Works for me.
I think that would work for me as well.
So then that would mean the meeting in July 7th would be canceled.
Right.
Right. Does everyone agree?
I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. We've been receiving, Nancy and I have been receiving information regarding the election administration for the July 7th primary election. This is all new and in uncharted territories. It will have a vote by mail component. 2 polling places will be open for voters who wish to,
Who are disabled.
who are disabled. Thank you.
Have the locations of those polling places been decided yet? Library or no?
Yes, library and the Cedar Hill Christian Reformed
Okay.
Church. It's, the County Board of Elections runs the election.
Right.
We still need their approval.
It's my understanding there will not be machines. You get a provisional when you go to vote there, is that correct?
My understanding, anybody who goes to the vote will be given a provisional
Right.
ballot. I do believe the information indicates that if you are disabled, there's some voting machine apparatus for you.
Okay.
Bob, so just so I'm understanding this correctly, on the 16th, Town Hall is going to be open to the public?
No, Town Hall won't be open to the public. We're going to have our social media posts, and the sign will say, if you want to get a vote, an application or submit your vote by mail application, correct?
It's your voter registration.
Voter registration, you would call the clerk's office and we'll come out and get it. We will be staffing the clerk's office until 9 o'clock. We will not be opening town hall. We tried to use the word that we'd be available but not open.
Okay, I just want to clarify that because, I don't know, the sheet that we were, the
Yes.
sheet that we received before it goes out to the public, I just want to clarify that they have to call from the front of town hall and that town hall won't be open.
Do we know when these ballots are going out? It said May 23rd, but it's no June 4th. No one I know got a ballot.
Yeah, I didn't get a ballot.
No, the county has not notified us.
So, we're at the end of the information chain.
Everybody, is there any, be on the lookout? Because it originally said 45 days, which is May 23rd. Is it 30 days, 20 days, 10 days?
I don't know, Tom. We've been told to wait for the next update from the county. Okay, the next item I wanted to review with you was, there is a draft of an ordinance to, that was provided, that's intended to maintain the small-town charm of Wyckoff as it relates to flashing signs. This was put together and it's for your consideration, and it can be added to the agenda tonight for introduction.
Can I ask a question on that, or should I wait till later?
No, I think it's appropriate to go over it now.
Okay, I just had a kind of a clarification. The activation will only be activated during the time when a school crossing is staffed by a school crossing guard, but the next paragraph, that a pedestrian pushes the button and it's illuminated for 30 seconds, that's at all times?
Yes, that's
Yes.
my understanding.
Okay, can we just clarify that?
There, if I can pick up on this, because
Yeah.
this is at my request, this ordinance
Right.
is. And Rob, correct me, 2 and 3 are 2 different types of lights, am I correct?
No, they're the
Same
same
one.
light. Same light.
Same one.
Same
Yeah.
one.
So, I mean, my understanding is it's gonna be on continuously while the school crossing guard is there. And when the school crossing guard leaves, it can be activated by a push button, and when it's activated by a push button, it will last for 30 seconds.
Okay, I only want to add language that says at all times, a pedestrian can cross
So
a
number
street.
3?
Yeah,
Okay.
can cross a street and push the button and it'll flash.
I'll just put at all times in front of it, so at all times, comma, illuminated signs activated by a.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or even at all times when the school crossing guard isn't there, because it'll be continuous when the school crossing guard is there.
Are there any other types of signs that can be illuminated by push button that aren't also school crossing areas? Or are they always the same sign?
We haven't
Currently, no.
approved any.
But, I mean, there could be pedestrian crossing areas, which is what we have on Franklin by the railroad tracks here, which began actually as a button activation, but they are 24/7 now. Rob, so we don't address the current cautionary lights, the amber lights that are in place as we speak by the school crossing areas, by the school areas, which are turned on by the guard when they arrive in the morning and turned off when they leave their post. Those are the vertical round lights that flash alternately.
Right, I mean, you guys are gonna have, I guess you guys have to educate me a little bit as to what these.
I thought that's what we're
signs
talking
are.
about in number 2. That's why I said that.
No, they're
Well, those
different.
are signals more than signs.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's fine. That's fine, just so we understand
Those are signals.
that this ordinance doesn't cover those lights, which is okay also.
Right,
Those
I-
lights
that's a
are,
signal.
those lights are school zone lights.
Correct.
So at the school crossing, the push button activates the lights around what? An actual flat sign that has lights around a picture of people
Yeah,
crossing?
crosswalk.
Right.
Yeah, once they're installed, yes.
The same one we have here
Right, okay.
They're gonna look
on
like that.
Franklin.
Right, right, so this would not affect the signal. you know, there's a signal, like you have a traffic signal, this is just dealing with signs. That
Okay.
was- That was what I thought the
Yeah.
charge was.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
Right, I thought the school crosswalk signs with the LED lights around the perimeter or the edge of them
right.
would operate in two ways. One is, when the guard got there, they could turn it on for the period of the post, turn it off, and then it would be activated by a pedestrian.
And we're sure that these signs have the mechanism to do both.
I asked the police department that, and I verified that.
So this is what I read, for number 2, right?
Yeah.
It says the activation of lights for school crossing shall only, I'm gonna take out only. So it's gonna say the activation of lights for school crossing shall be activated for the time period in which the school crossing is staffed by a crossing guard, right? So that'll take care of that. And then underneath, we're gonna change it so that all other times, when it's activated by a push button, it's only gonna be 30 seconds. Right?
Right.
Does that accomplish it? Okay.
And just one point for clarity, since I was with Melissa when we were budgeting for these safety signs, if a student shows up a minute before the crossing guard, they can activate it by the button, the same way that we're saying if the crossing guard's gone, they can activate it by a crossing button. So, other than when the crossing guard is there and has activated it, you can do it manually. Which it says this, I just want to be extra clear.
Yes.
That's correct.
So let me ask you this, if 2 and 3 are covering the same signs, I suggest put it in the same paragraph. We're talking about the same sign.
That's why I assumed they were
Okay.
two different
Okay.
types of signals.
No, they're this, it's the same
Okay.
Okay with me.
thing.
Number 2.
Do we have any language or any ability to have the button on the pedestrian crosswalk cleaned at any point? Especially given the current state of affairs?
You mean when we have a guard there? Or?
No, for pedestrians pushing it.
Well, we don't. But we have buttons all over town that pedestrians can push to control a standard traffic light. We don't clean them either.
Right, but this is specifically geared towards children going to use the school property. So I just want to see if we can kind of think about that. I don't know how we would accomplish it, or even if it's possible, but especially over the summer, we could potentially have a lot of kids going to use the school playgrounds and parks and ball fields. And I'm just slightly concerned about like a number of children pushing that button. Adults know if they're gonna push a button in public that they should use hand sanitizer, wash their hands. Children don't do that.
We're gonna have to think about that because we're
Even if
not-
we have a sign that says, if you push the button, use hand sanitizer, I don't know, if this was geared towards adults, I would say adults can take care of themselves and figure out how to wash their hands, but with children constantly pushing the button, is just a concern that popped into my head.
What's our estimated installation date on these? Do we have one yet?
August. My understanding, August.
My understanding is that they are on order. I don't have a delivery date.
Can I read?
Okay, can I just throw one thing up? Obviously, I'm pretty familiar with it, so to me it reads fine. However, I just want to ask you, is it helpful at all if you insert the fact that these are school crossing at crosswalks? I mean, I know they're at a crosswalk, but it didn't say they're at a crosswalk. Does that help or does it hurt you?
Are they all at crosswalks?
Yes.
I don't know. Yeah.
If they're all planned for crosswalks.
So
But,
why is
but-
it important that it be a crosswalk too in there?
It's not. I'm just throwing it out since you said you were confused what kind of signs they were. There's signs at the crosswalk. Now, for the future, you may want to leave without the crosswalk. I clearly understand it, I'm just throwing it out in case anyone wants to be more specific. These are crosswalk signs.
I could call it the activation of lights for school crosswalks, is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying what to do, I'm just throwing it out. If it's helpful, if it's not helpful, don't do it, that's all.
We're missing the point of why I asked for this, folks. And it's not limited, the reason I asked is not limited just to school crossings or school pedestrian traffic. It's for all of these flashing lights. And let me go back a few years to when we were having a terrible time with accidents at the corner of Ravine and Lafayette. And the chief at the time wanted to install illuminated LED stoplights, the flashing 24/7 stoplights. And I argued strenuously against it. I suggested a four-way stop sign. Well, in the fullness, and he said we couldn't do it. There was some reason in the traffic titles. Well, he retired and we got a new chief, and we now have a four-way stop sign there. And it works fine. And had I not protested, when I was on the police committee years ago, we would have had two of those hideous, constantly flashing four-way stop signs in what amounts to a kind of a country corner there. That's why I'm doing this. I'm not doing this to be a pain in the neck or to create unsafe situations. I'm doing it, as Bob aptly listed here, to try to maintain as much as possible small-town charm, to use a trite term. So I don't think we need to get caught up whether it's a crosswalk or not. It's the sign itself that we need to be sure does not become offensive to neighbors. That's my concern.
Okay, so I've kind of massaged the language, so it's probably easier for you to listen to it than read it, because I'm making some changes, but, so it's gonna be one paragraph, paragraph 2, and it's gonna say, the activation of lights on school crossing signs shall be activated for the time period in which the school crossing is staffed by a crossing guard. At all other times, such lights shall only be activated by a pedestrian push button for a period of no more than 30 seconds for each occurrence. Right? And that's what we want to do.
I would just like to add times and locations, because I could envision installing one of these signs at a intersection or a crossing that is not connected with a school, as evidenced on Franklin and the railroad tracks here.
Oh, isn't
Well,
that,
all of the signs
isn't
that
that good
have
why
to
it
be-
says school? That's why it's good it says school, because anything would come up, would have to be separate and looked at separately, wouldn't it?
Say that again, Rudy, what do you?
Well, I don't want to fall into the trap that
There's nothing to bar.
someone wants to install one of these signs at Wyckoff by Wyckoff and Clinton, let's say. And they want to do it the same way we have in front of Town Hall here, flashing all the time. And the argument would be, well, it's not in front of a school. This only governs what happens at schools, from the way I read this now.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
School crosswalk signs.
so we'll have to rework and rethink it. And I don't know if it's something to get done tonight. So if someone proposes a sign that has lights around a stop sign, it's not necessarily to be a push button, but you may want to control those as well. I mean, there could be, I mean, you could have a provision in here for any sign that is lit, but I don't know how many of them would have push buttons or not. I was dealing with the signs that we had on order that were coming in now. That's what this deals with.
But doesn't the first point say that this traffic control signs may only be approved by the Township Committee by way of ordinance?
All right.
Right?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
if anything comes up in the future, it would still have to be.
It would come back.
approved.
Correct.
All right, okay. We'll hang our hat on that then. Okay.
Good point.
So you wanna keep working at it, or you wanna go
No,
with what we have?
let's get it done.
Okay.
Then if it's acceptable, Nancy, I will ask that you add it to the 8 PM agenda as the second ordinance to be introduced this evening. And both ordinances will have a further consideration and public hearing at the second meeting in July.
And it's going to be proposed as I amended,
Mhm.
correct?
Okay, the next item I'd like to discuss with you is whether the Township Committee desires to consider an ordinance to prohibit or regulate the planting of bamboo. We had a question that was received from a resident, and I forwarded this to the governing body. It's previously been on the agenda, so I'm going to ask you what your pleasure is. I think I've attached the ordinance that Franklin Lakes adopted.
I only have one question. Should we ask the Shade Tree Commission to review any potential ordinance?
It's not a bad idea.
Good idea.
Because they are mostly arborist, horticultural, landscape type folks.
They'll most likely tell us it's an invasive plant. So we'll see. We'll see what they say.
Okay?
Okay, we will do that, thank you. The next item reflects that a subcommittee of Mayor Shanley and Mr. Madigan have been meeting with Chamber of Commerce members regarding outdoor dining and providing some flexibility to assist the dining establishments in Wyckoff to get back to normal. There is a draft resolution that's been prepared by the subcommittee and Mr. Landale. It's in with this packet here with the tab.
And just so everyone understands, the governor is allowing outdoor dining starting on June 15th. So it became pressing to do something at this meeting so that they could hopefully hit the ground running on June
This is on your
15th.
desk.
Yeah, and just so everyone's aware of, the outside dining committee, subcommittee had several meetings, we had several site visits. This resolution tonight ensures that we're doing everything we can to help our businesses by being flexible, pro-business, outside dining, June 15th.
Yeah, more
Around the
happy.
corner. We focused on the ability not only for merchants, restaurateurs to do this administratively, but also incorporated the importance of approval by the fire department, fire code, police department, ensuring that they have appropriate insurance, and then maps or plans of what they're doing in the area. So we think we've covered most of those salient points, right, Tim?
Correct, I think we did. And thank you, Bob, for assisting us, and thank you, Rob, for assisting us. Because we asked for it to be done pretty quickly.
I know the business is looking forward to it, so.
Yeah, it'll be nice, because, I mean, most of these businesses have been staying alive trying to do just takeout, but it might be nicer if they can actually have people sit down and do so outside.
So it's essentially the outdoor dining ordinance stays intact. This is just
Correct.
an administrative avenue where they can
2020.
go directly to the town hall for a quick release so they can get moving by the 15th. And I got something, I read something with regard to what the ABC is also doing with the expansion of the site plan for liquor license on sites.
Right.
We don't, they have that jurisdiction, so we don't have to cover that in
Right.
this resolution.
Yeah, and this is just it's temporary for this year. It expires
Correct.
when it gets cold out in December. So it's a one-time fix because of the COVID-19 pandemic.
It's pretty flexible.
Yes. Anyone has any questions?
No, I think, I appreciate you, the subcommittee and Rob and Bob getting this all together so quickly. Good job.
That meets with everyone's approval.
Yep.
Nancy, could you give it a number and add it to the consent agenda? Is it acceptable on the consent agenda with everyone?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
And we'll entitle it temporary outdoor dining?
Yes, temporary outdoor dining procedures. Okay, Nancy, thank you. The next item I wanted to review with you is Mayor Shanley forwarded to me a request of a Girl Scout to perform a gold project, which would be to construct a memorial at the Russell Farms Community Park. I was able to do some quick research. As you know, I'm a personal supporter of scouting, but there's a number of issues that have to be addressed with this. When we received Russell Farms Community Park, when we purchased it with Bergen County Open Space money, along with that came restrictions. And those restrictions are fairly clear, and they do not allow for a memorial at that location. Any structures would have to be required to obtain approval from the Bergen County Open Space Office. The diagram that was provided shows the memorial in an area planned essentially for a playground. We just finished phase 2 of the improvements, and phase 3 is going to start this summer, and that includes a playground for children from ages 2 to 12. And it's unclear from the proposal if the scout has any expectation of any assistance from the town. Typically, the scout will make an appointment to meet. It'll be discussed. I think in this case, it was just forwarded by email to you, Tim.
Right, due to the pandemic.
So
Otherwise, she would have probably came to one of our meetings.
So as part of being helpful, I see essentially two avenues. One is you can establish a subcommittee to meet with the young scout and
Okay.
address it. Or you can, I had a chance to speak with Scott Fisher. You could assign it to Scott Fisher, the Public Works Manager.
Okay.
He would reach out to the scout, see if, we have to address.
See where in town it would work,
Yeah, where it would work, we're
as long as everyone's in favor of moving forward with a memorial for the deaths of Wyckoff residents.
And regarding Russell Farms Community Park, there'd have to be a threshold question
Right.
asked about that location. So,
Bob,
Yes.
just a quick note, and I'm so happy that this Girl Scout is reaching out and, wants to do this. We're kind of still mid-pandemic. This is unfortunately not over yet, so it may make sense to wait until the pandemic is over, so we know, this is a horrible thing to think about, but
Right.
until we're through this and until we know how many people have lost their lives, I don't want to talk about this like we're talking in the past. People are still losing their lives every single day to this pandemic, so I don't want to make it sound like we're through it and we're already setting up a memorial and it's done. So I think we may have to table this conversation until we're actually through this pandemic.
I think the way the Gold Award works, it's almost like they have to come to us, the Township Committee, to make sure the idea is okay.
Right.
Then they have to go to the Girl Scout Council and present it
That
and
is
go
correct.
through a whole process to get it approved. And then they'll come back to us with any
About
changes that were
doing it.
suggested by the Girl Scout
Right.
Council. And that, so
It's a process.
it is a bit longer than,
But the problem I'm having is what if, these Girl Scouts are only working on this project for a certain amount of time, then they graduate, they go to college. We just really don't know the length of this pandemic. We maybe are coming out of a first wave of it, so I don't know, I'm just not sure it's an appropriate project for right now, and for someone who may be leaving town, maybe going off to college.
Point.
I don't know, but I'm most concerned about the timing of it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
okay. All right. Then then with that, then Tim, maybe I can work with you. You've had contact with the Girl Scout, or was it just forwarded it to
It
you?
was forwarded to me by her and her mom.
So, so then, if you'd like to, I can forward it back and tell her what we've just discussed, that we're not through the pandemic, and maybe a bit ahead of time, there's a number of issues that have to be looked at. And we are not able to give you approval at this point, even though your
though it's a
idea
good
was
idea. It's a
received
good
very
project.
positively.
Right.
Is that satisfactory to everyone?
Yeah, and I commend her for thinking about our town and wanting to get involved and do this. I just think it might be a little premature within the pandemic to be planning a memorial.
Okay, all right, I'll move forward in that way. What I'd like to ask you is, in terms of providing some clarity to me, we had provided the sample social media post. Melissa mentioned to have it clarified in 2 areas, which I wrote down, which we will. But I'd like to, as per moving forward, these items that are new, I would provide them to the governing body. I just need to know from you, when I provide it to the governing body, when can I act? When I have 3 positives, 4 positives, or 5 positive replies?
Are these new, or these the ones you sent us like yesterday? Confused.
This was sent out yesterday. This is new. This is new. It hasn't been, we just did it yesterday or the day before.
Okay, so what practice did you use based upon yesterday? I was curious.
I didn't. I haven't been posting anything. I want to make sure everybody has a chance to review it, since it's new.
Okay, so I'm not giving you a hard time. So you're saying I sent out a bunch of them yesterday and I have an additional one this evening?
No, yesterday was the e-news communication, which
Okay.
was sent to everybody. Everybody approved it, it was sent out.
Okay,
This is totally new.
I got
This
you.
is separate from that. Everything I sent out this week is new.
Bob, can we clarify what it means to be primarily vote by mail?
It's all vote by mail. Unless you don't get a ballot.
Because the first question will be, can I go to the polls and vote?
My understanding of Bob, and I may be wrong, is everybody who's a registered Democrat or Republican will get a mail ballot. But if you're undeclared, you're not getting a ballot unless you request one. And they may need to go to the poll to declare and then vote with a provision. Is that correct? Nancy,
That's correct.
Yes,
Okay,
that's
so I
correct.
think I've explained it.
Are we gonna have the same number of polling sites open than we usually do?
We're gonna have 2.
Me too.
Okay.
Although I've spoken to several people, not several, 8, 9, who think that this year there's gonna be an option to vote by mail. They can either vote by mail or go to the polling place, but I don't know how they make that clear, but I'm sure Bergen County will make it crystal clear like they do to voting all the time.
Well, the whole purpose of our social media program is to try to assist the county in making it clear. As you know, every year we have to reimburse the county for their cost of mailing the sample ballots. And we receive many questions on where is my polling place, even though it's mailed to every voter, telling them where their polling place is.
But if you also recall, last year, we didn't have a pandemic, and there was a lot of confusion with these people that was sent. Governor Murphy decided he would send mail-in vote-by-mail ballots. People thought they had the option. I don't vote by mail, I vote in person. They got there to do provisional. I'm just bringing it up just as something to be, if they're not as crystal clear, maybe we can try to make it clear that you're only voting by mail-in unless you did not get a ballot. If you did not get a ballot, then you can go to the polls.
Bob, can we
I
maybe
guess.
do like bullet points in this.
Yeah, we're gonna have to.
Yeah, because I mean, it is extremely confusing this
It's
year.
complicated.
And I would say, bullet point one, it's primarily vote by mail. If you receive a ballot by vote by mail, you don't
You
even
must
need to
vote.
vote by mail. You can go to the polls and get a provisional ballot, but I don't know. I don't know how to simplify this process.
You must vote by mail.
Yeah. Just to be clear, what we're trying to do as part of our role with election administration is to make it clear, and this input from you is valuable to me, because now we'll take it back and make it clearer. We thought we had, but clearly we haven't. But this is why I want to send these things to you. So that's very, very positive. I also think it's positive that we are staffing the clerk's office on the last day to submit an application
Voter registration.
for voter registration to 9 PM. And your comment, Melissa, is well taken. We'll make it clear that we're not saying it's open, but you will be available. You need to call this number. We'll have one employee there. She will go to the door, give you the application, take your application. And I think it requires the clerk the next day to hand deliver any ballots that were received to the Bergen County Board of Elections.
Registrations.
Wait, when it says all registered voters will receive a vote by mail ballot automatically, I thought
Not
it's only
true.
registered Democrats and
It's only
Republicans.
Dems and Republicans.
Yeah, it's not all registered voters.
Only Dems, all registered Dems, all registered Republicans.
Yeah, if you're undeclared, you're not getting one.
You're not
Unless
getting-
you
Yeah.
ask for it.
Definitely not getting one.
Originally, the intention, I believe, was to send vote by mail applications to unregistered or undeclared, but they scrapped that, I believe.
they
Here, this is the
And
party
now
vote.
it's only D or
Right.
R get a vote by mail
Correct.
This is the
ballot.
party vote.
Yeah,
Because it's a primary for the Republicans or
Right.
the
It's a
Democrats.
party vote.
Okay.
And just to throw one last thing in there, how you do it, I'm sure people will be cognizant of the calendar, but we have to remember when you mail these in, you gotta go right into the 4th of July weekend. And those that use the Wyckoff post office, they wanna get there a few days earlier. Because of processing, they might be closed. I don't know if they're closed Friday, Saturday. It says the 7th postmark, but I'm just cautioning.
Okay,
So it's another curveball that you're gonna deal with because of the date.
okay. Again, what we're looking to do is assist the county by making this clear. I appreciate the input. We'll move forward with this. We will take care of this in the next 2 work days.
can we see another draft of this?
Absolutely,
Thank you.
absolutely. I would like, if I could ask you for some assistance again, in terms of sending these out to you, because you are the governing body. Do I wait till I receive 5 replies? Do I wait till I receive 4? Do I wait till I receive 3? In terms of moving ahead, I'm not, I just need to know how to proceed. That's
I would think that if you got 3 of the 5, you can go ahead. But that's my opinion.
Yeah, I'm okay if everybody's sent the communication
Yes.
and then it's 3 out of
I
5.
s- Absolutely.
Because it'll make your life easier.
Yeah.
All right, so I have a slightly different twist, not opinion, twist. All right, you gotta send out to all 5 of us. Okay, if I'm driving, whatever, I'm not at a machine looking at my email. Is there any time period you need a response by to get these things so that I can look at my emails every 2 hours because first 3 in get to say, or is this by the end of the day you want to suggest? I would just think it'd be a little more courteous to ensure that everybody sees it. If, you have to respond by 10 the following morning, unless that's not timely enough, that's all.
To Tom, I'm willing to implement any measures that you wish. I'm just looking to be inclusive. So what do you want me to do?
I mean, I don't want to...
5 hours, 4 hours?
Well, I don't want to
6
call out
hours?
Mr. Boonstra, but he's a whiz on email even more than I am, so I don't know what your thoughts are.
what would be a reasonable period of time? And I'm sure, depending on the situation, reasonable for one issue might be different,
Right.
a different number than
Right, I would
reasonable for
agree with
another
that.
issue. So,
So what would you suggest, Tom?
Well, I'd rather have you suggest it. What's gonna be your practice? What are your thoughts? If it's real quick, you might have to make a phone call, look at your email. I'm not trying to make it a burdensome on you, but if it's 3 people, okay, and you're sitting at a desk or someone with an email, and 2 governing body members consistently are not sitting at a desk looking at emails, are we really having a say? That's all. And I trust my fellow committee people. I have confidence in it. We work together as a governing body, but I'm just
You're
saying.
not talking about having a dialogue over it, right? You're just talking about an affirmative or a negative comment back to Bob. So once he gets 3, even if the next 2 come in negative, it's not gonna make a difference in what you're trying to accomplish, right? You're just looking for 3 okays? Or are you guys gonna have a discussion after
I don't
this?
know. And I know there's a lot of sensitivities going on right now. But I think what we're going on, what Melissa's pointing out this evening is very pertinent to the discussion. Because she may see something that I didn't see, or maybe Beth didn't see, and Tim might see something else. So if we're improving the product and we have time, not days and days and days, I would think we'd want to foster that.
Like 3 hours? 3 hours? You guys check your emails about every 3 hours on your phone? No?
Yeah.
5 hours?
Fortunately, much more than that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on my email all the time.
I wish
so
I
it
wasn't
doesn't-
I'm not, see, I'm not,
I'm not.
I'm not.
I'm not.
Does that mean I can't do it? Guarantee I do it at noon and
So
3
5
o'clock?
hours.
5 hours.
5 hours?
Would it be helpful if we texted things
Sure.
as a photo instead?
I like text, I get texts
Yeah.
quicker than emails.
So do I.
And we're just talking about communications with the public, right?
Right.
Yes, yes, yes.
Talking about what, Melissa? I'm sorry.
Communication with the public.
Yeah.
Right, because this is going out. This is
Right.
going
And I
out.
think right now, there's just so much information important information, and things are different than people are used
No, a lot
to.
of
So
people
what we're
don't.
communicating to the public is especially crucial right now, and I think we do all, as we could see by this flyer, we all are seeing something a little different that
Right.
maybe needs to be tweaked. So I want everybody to have a chance to have input.
And I agree, it's very, very positive. So we will text it to you. Is 3 hours enough?
Yes.
I think, text, I think we're all on, all the time.
Can I ask you a different question? What is your anticipated practice on posting these? We're gonna post them every afternoon at 3 o'clock, or we're gonna post them as we get them? Maybe that would solve it.
Yeah, Tom, this is sort of an ancillary duty of multiple duties, and I really have a hard time telling you that I can achieve that because I put a lot of projects aside to help people when they need help, and I don't want to be in a position where I tell a resident, I can't help you because I gotta post this, to be candid with you. So it's kind of hard. I can't just say I only post at 3:30 every day. So why don't we just text it to you and respond to us in 3 hours? That gives me the guidance I need.
Remember that famous show,
And
that
if we
3-hour
find it's
tour?
not working, we can make adjustments.
It's
Exactly.
All right, okay.
It's 8 o'clock now. We didn't get to Township Committee reports or reports of the attorney. We're probably gonna have to recess
Come back.
and come back. So can I get a
Yes.
motion to recess the work session?
Motion to recess the work session.
Second.
Mr. Boonstra?
Yes?
Ms. Fisher?
Yes.
Ms. Rubenstein?
Yes.
Mr. Madigan?
Yes.
Mayor Shanley?
Yes. Does anyone need a break before we go right into the 8 o'clock?
I could use a breathing break.
Yeah, I could use a minute.
All right, let's take a minute. We'll take a minute. Is this the priest that's calling?
Probably, is it a 412 number?
Yes, it's a 412. Hello?
Hi, is this Mayor Shanley?
Yes.
Hi, this is Pastor Joseph from Advent.
Hi, Pastor Joseph.
Hi.
We haven't started our meeting. We just finished the work session or recessed it, so two of our members are taking a quick 2-minute break, and then we're going to start. So I'm just going to leave you on hold.
Okay, that's great.
Thank you so much.
Couldn't do anything with the train anyway.
Yeah, true.
You got a break there, right?
At least it wasn't Hansel calling me.
That's what I thought it might have been.
No, thank God it wasn't.
I just never do it. Sorry.
It was
I did
Pastor
the wrong
Joe.
thing, though.
Yeah, I know we'll do.
I'll make it right on the work, on the business.
So if we don't get through everything at the work session,
We've recessed it. We're going back to it after the business meeting.
Yeah,
so we do the business meeting and then we go back and. finish
Yes, and then we'll do our.
way at the end after we have our private session, we're gonna go back to
Yeah, we'll be done by at least 10:30,
it. By 11 o'clock.
by 11, 10:30, I think 10:30 will be done. I think the biggest warning on these mail-in ballots is beware, if at all possible, do not mail at Wyckoff post office.
Well, my concern is, and I'll raise this privately, and I guess when I take it, if you use the mail-in ballot, are you locked into getting a mail-in ballot every future election?
Yeah, that hasn't been clear.
They've left that
Nobody ever
unsaid.
knows, every year the governor does something.
And if you're locked in, then you cannot go vote at the polls.
I don't think you are, but who knows?
Unless you file a document that says you're
Well, the
waiving.
following
Yeah, but
year,
even that
they'll tell
doesn't
you
work
you are. The
sometimes,
following year, the governor will tell you, well, you have to do it that way. He changes.
Okay.
We're ready, Ken.
All right, we ready?
A whim.
All right. We'll call the regular meeting of the Wyckoff Township Committee to order. Going to do a flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Pastor Joe, can you hear us?
Yep,
All
can you hear me?
Yes, you're up for the invocation.
Let us pray. Almighty God, in every age you sent prophets among us to make known your loving will for all humanity. Their protests against injustice were rejected by the powerful, but vindicated by your mercy. Give us the will to hear the truth of their witness and the courage to honor the integrity of all who are suffocated under white supremacy in this country. Rouse us from content with evil and empower us to purge racism with our world, our nation, our community, and our hearts, so that all your people might breathe free. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor. Thank you.
All right, thanks, everybody.
Have a great night. All right, now, Nancy, we need a reading of the Open Public Meeting Act.
This regular meeting of the Township Committee of the Township of Wyckoff is now in session. In accordance with Section 8 of the Open Public Meetings Act, I wish to advise that notice of this meeting has been posted on the bulletin board at Memorial Town Hall and on our Township Committee website page. A copy has been filed with the Township Clerk, and copies were sent to the Ridgewood News, the Record, and to the North Jersey Herald and News, all newspapers with general circulation throughout the Township of Wyckoff. At least 48 hours prior to this meeting, the agenda was similarly posted, filed, and mailed to said newspapers. May I have a roll call? Mr. Boonstra?
Here.
Ms. Fisher?
Here.
Ms. Rubenstein?
Here.
Mr. Madigan?
Yes, here.
Mayor Shanley?
Here. All right, can I get a motion to open up for public comment for 5 minutes per speaker for public comment on any governmental issue that a member of the public feels may be of concern to the residents of the Township of Wyckoff?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, now is the public comment time. If anybody from the public would like to call in, the telephone number is 201-891-7000, extension 222. This will be your last chance for public comment. 201-891-7000, extension 222. Leave it open for a few more seconds. Hearing none, can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Boonstra?
Yes.
Ms. Fisher?
Yes.
Ms. Rubenstein?
Yes.
Mr. Madigan?
Yes.
Mayor Shanley?
Yes. Can I get a motion for the approval of the May 19th, 2020 Township Committee work session and regular business meeting minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Boonstra?
Yes.
Ms. Fisher?
Yes.
Ms. Rubenstein?
Yes.
Mr. Madigan?
Yes.
Mayor Shanley?
Yes. Nancy, can you call the consent agenda?
All matters listed below are considered by the Township Committee to be routine in nature. There will be no separate discussion of these items. If any discussion is desired by the Township Committee, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. I have the following resolutions for adoption. Number 20-208, authorize shared sewer service agreement for health services. Authorized shared service agreement for health services. Number 20-209, invoke Title 59, plan and design immunity for fire pumper. Number 20-210, approval to submit a grant application and execute a grant contract with the New Jersey Department of Transportation for the Mountain Avenue Section 2 project. Number 20-211, establish modified no-cash policy for the current year. Number 20-212, waive e-check fees for the current year. Number 20-213, accept donation, scoreboard. Number 20-214, approval of vouchers and authorization to pay bills. Number 20-215, invoke Title 59, plan and design immunity for police hybrid vehicle. Number 20-216, return of certain overpaid taxes, escrow monies, recreation fees. Number 20-217, acceptance of donation, pitcher's mound. Number 20-218, just added, temporary outdoor dining procedures. Number 20-C6, closed session.
We had two things. We had two things?
Discussion on the resolutions. It's a request and a comment on 20-213. It is and I hate to sound like a one-trick pony tonight, guys, but it's a lighted scoreboard. As it's being designed, could we check with our lighting ordinance to make sure it doesn't run afoul of it somewhere? I suggest Mr. DeGenero, who is the expert on our lighting ordinance.
Good point.
Thank you.
Okay, Nancy, do you have to read the ordinance
Yes.
as well?
Mr. Chairman, I have two ordinances for introduction. Number one is number 1915, an ordinance to provide a certain capital improvement in the Township of Wyckoff and provide for the receipt, acceptance, and deposit of a contribution therefore, and to authorize appropriations of $76,609. And then I have 1916, which we just numbered, 1916, an ordinance to amend Chapter 177, Vehicles and Traffic of the Code of the Township of Wyckoff and to add new section 177-56, traffic control signs, to govern the illumination of traffic control signage.
I make the motion on the consent agenda.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Madigan. Mr. Listine. Mr. Boonstra?
Yes.
Ms. Fisher?
Yes.
Ms. Rubenstein?
Yes.
Mr. Madigan?
Yes.
Mayor Shanley?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, Bob, we have to go now back into the work session, or do you have something first?
Mr. Mayor, I think it would be appropriate to adjourn the 8 PM meeting, and then we'll request a motion and a second to reconvene the work session. There are a number of items I still would like to go over in open session before
Okay.
the closed session discussion.
All right, can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Boonstra?
Yes.
Ms. Fisher?
Yes.
Ms. Rubenstein?
Yes.
Mr. Madigan?
Yes.
Mayor Shanley?
Yes.
Now we would need a motion
motion
and
to go.
second to reconvene the work session.
Motion to reconvene the work session.
Second?
You? Mr. Boonstra?
Yes.
Ms. Fisher?
Yes.
Ms. Rubenstein?
Yes.
Mr. Madigan?
Yes.
Mayor Shanley?
Yes. Okay, Bob, we left off with you in the work session.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I try to be as quick as I can. We're talking about the social media post for extended voter registration. That will be modified, sent back to the governing body, and then texted to the governing body and request all 5 members reply within 3 hours. The next item I have is a recommendation from Denise to post an educational compost a virtual workshop, which we would post via our Recycle Coach application. So everyone who is receiving who receives the Recycle Coach notifications, this is similar how before the pandemic, we would also provide advance notice of the regional hazardous waste collection days. I happen to think it's a good reminder. So I would look for authority to move forward with that as a Recycle Coach reminder.
Okay.
I'm all for that.
I'm fine.
Okay then? Okay, number 3. I received a request from Ms. Fisher to substitute her name on our environmental committee page since she has taken over the purchase of the backyard home composters. And this would mean essentially that the environmental committee page that deals with the backyard composter would stay the same. It's just former Township Committeeman Scanlon's name and email would be removed, and Ms. Fisher's name and email would be added. So I'm looking for approval to move forward with that.
I have no objection to
No
that.
No
objection.
objection. Thank you, Beth, for
Thank
taking
you,
on that
Beth.
daunting
You're
task.
welcome.
Yes,
I've sold 15 so far.
that's great.
Well, that's great.
Doing a brisk business.
Next item, Mr. Mayor, is in governing body, the return of accepting all recyclables at the recycling center and to provide takeaway mulch. That's mulch that folks would take away in their own vehicle
Gotcha.
and put in their gardens. The hours would remain Monday to Saturday, 10 to 2. Currently now, the only recyclables accepted are those that are not collected curbside. I think the operation at the recycling center has been working well.
Bob, I have to agree, it has. I've been doing a lot of gardening and removal of some of my old shrubs, and I've made numerous trips there. The residents have been great. They've been wearing masks, and they've been waiting patiently, and the attendant will, hold you up if there's too many people in there. So I've had a great experience going in there to drop off vegetative waste.
When will we be able to start that? Because I've had so many requests in the
Yeah,
last several
there's a lot
weeks.
of people that want
A lot.
increased hours.
When will this begin?
I would,
And some people even want to start bringing their recycling in as well, that is collected on the roadway. You know, in cans, the bottles,
it would seem to
cardboard.
me that in order to best help our residents, it should start on Saturday.
Right,
We will not be able to have a social media post
gotcha.
announcing it done for tomorrow because I have a pre-scheduled leave day tomorrow, but we can do it on Monday.
Yeah, because with everybody getting a lot of deliveries in boxes, a lot of people are complaining they have to wait 2 weeks to get rid of a whole load of, cardboard. They'd rather bring it down and have it crushed here.
Just for the record, it goes without saying that Mr. Fisher is on board with this.
Yes, I spoke to Mr. Fisher about it,
Thank you.
and I also mentioned that I've had every member of the governing body wanting that recycling center to get back to its
Yeah.
normal use. Every one of you wants that moving forward as a resident convenience.
All right, so Bob, just for further clarity, I agree what you said earlier, I just want to make sure. All materials, but with the current 10 to 2 rather than 9 to 3, that's what you're saying, correct? Or did I-
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And I think it's worth mentioning that one of the reasons I think that most of us, and I'm in favor of going back to the hours and letting people bring their recyclables over to the recycling center, is that it reduces our tonnage for garbage, and we are charged for garbage pickup based on tonnage. So we really do want to encourage people both to use recycling at curbside and to use recycling at the recycling center, because it lowers the burden on the
Yeah,
taxpayers
and-
for
and to-
garbage.
Right, and to
That
bring.
is correct.
And to bring scrap metal, to throw it in the scrap
Right.
metal dumpster, because that,
Right.
and scrap metal is heavy. If that
Right.
goes in the garbage, our
Well,
tonnage
people
goes
have been
way
putting
up.
that in the garbage.
Well,
Great.
we also promote significantly, thoroughly and consistently our white goods
Right,
Wednesday, which is
Yeah.
really
And
metal
electronics.
pickup, not only white goods,
yes.
but metal pickup.
We had 6 pages for this Wednesday.
Wow.
6 pages of addresses for
Wow.
white metal.
Okay, that sounds good. May I move to the next item?
Yes,
Number 6 is dealing with, we had a request from Pastor Rainville at the Bethany Church. He would like to conduct a worship service on Wednesday, June 10th, from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. in the church parking lot with all their congregants in cars. I had provided you with a copy of Executive Order 148 from Governor Murphy, which, although it doesn't address worship, it says, regardless of the purpose of such gathering, participants who remain in vehicles appears to be permitted. They're talking about streaming their worship music through the FM radios in the car. The only concern that I can see is the issue of the music. They would have a band outside, which may create noise complaints. And that's an issue that would have to be addressed. So I'm not sure where we want to go with this.
By the way, I only have one comment for the record. I don't think this governing body, or any governing body, should be getting in the middle of worship and churches, houses of worship, what they can, what they can't do, when they can do it, how they can do it, what the music is, or who their participants are. So just for the record, I'm in favor of them doing what's permissible, and I don't think it really should come to the governing body that we have to approve it. So if there's any decision, I abstain on religious principle.
I actually would tend to agree. I think we have ordinances, we have noise ordinances, parking ordinances. If it runs afoul of those ordinances, that's,
It's a zoning or enforcement issue.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Even with the band, it's like any other,
Yeah,
I've
it's too
had
noisy,
neighbors
they
who
have
have
to-
had bands on their
Yeah.
properties. I think
Yeah.
it falls under that same category. I don't think it's any different because it's a church.
Right,
Yeah.
I would agree.
So we would not be able to give them approval. They have to be governed by the executive order and any noise and parking ordinances that
Yeah,
exist.
it wouldn't be that we were saying no, they could do whatever's legally permissible.
Right,
Right.
they can do whatever they want.
It's an enforcement issue.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's tough to say we denied it because we didn't act on it.
Although, I'm assuming we're not acting on, based upon religious grounds, so they shouldn't get the wrong message that we didn't want to take it up and facilitate them doing what they want to do to worship.
Okay? Um, I have a number of, a few other things I'd like to review. One item is an email we received from a resident, and a draft reply has been put together and assembled. Does that reply look acceptable to come from the governing body? If that looks acceptable, that's been recommended by the police.
By the
committee.
police committee, correct.
Okay. There is also a recommendation from the police department to post a statement that's been drafted by Chief Murphy. I'm interested, I wanted to just make sure.
That's been approved by the police committee as well.
All right. I also have a,
Although, just for clarification, that was endorsed by the police committee, but I would like to get that everyone's okay with it.
Right, that's why I thought Bob was gonna ask everyone if they're in agreement. We're just saying that the police committee agrees with it. Just if you can ask the other three members if they're okay with it as well.
I was fine with it.
Okay.
What's going to be posted by the police department?
Yes.
Okay, yes, that's fine.
All right, great, thank you.
thank you very much. We have a letter that was received this afternoon from, or on behalf of the owner of the Lowlands Avenue Industrial Park property regarding a request for relief so that tenants could open up their business, especially a number of tenants who have gyms or athletic operations at that location. We have been trying to do some research on that, and we're not able to come up with an answer in such a short period of time.
Yeah, the governor still has not let people go back into gyms, so I don't think we can help them.
There's nothing in the executive order that gives you guidance from
No.
providing relief from the existing ordinances. I mean, they can't,
And because it's indoors.
and they would need to come outside, they would need some kind of site plan approval unless you guys are gonna
Right.
do something else. Even with that, I mean, I guess we're seeing the governor take steps with restaurants, but, gym equipment and people using the same equipment and move from one piece to another, I don't think he's there yet. You may see something in a couple of weeks, but he hasn't gone in that direction.
No, I haven't seen that he has, even though I've seen on News 12, some gyms have done it out in their parking lots.
Yeah.
They brought the equipment out and they claim they're they're sanitizing it after each person uses it. But I don't know that that still complies with the governor's executive order.
I don't think it does.
I would agree.
All right, two things. Number one, I have to recuse myself on any deliberations here because I have an office in that building. Number two, I'm going to suggest that maybe we give this to our outdoor dining subcommittee, seeing as they did such a stellar job on outdoor dining. Maybe they could have a look at
Yeah, we
it.
can take a look at it, because we have the experience with the outdoor dining.
There you go.
It might be a simple solution to, give the same latitude that we gave for outdoor dining to whether or not gyms can do the same thing.
Okay, so the outdoor dining subcommittee will take
Yeah,
that
well,
up.
Tom and I will take a look
The
at it.
outdoor dining and exercise.
Yeah, you're gonna
Both
need
of those are
to,
right up my alley.
you're gonna need to exercise after you eat.
That's the best fit ever.
Yeah, okay, you just ate too much. You're gonna work out tomorrow. We're gonna have all the machines out here. Ay, ay, ay. All right, anything else, Bob?
I think that's all I have at this point.
All right, we're gonna now move on to the reports of the Township Committee members. I will start with Rudy, and then I'll go around the horn.
All right, I will be brief, Mayor. First of all, I want to thank Bob and Nancy for putting the effort in so we could meet live tonight. It's a much better way of taking care of business of government than doing it by Zoom. So I appreciate that very much. The DPW has redone the soccer field at Community Park, if anyone hasn't noticed.
It
The
looks
soc-
great.
The soccer field that had been there was sort of like a rolling meadow with high and low spots, and Scott Fisher and his crew repurposed the topsoil that came off of Memorial in preparation for the artificial turf field. And the contractor was good enough to loan the DPW a screening machine to rescreen the topsoil, and they brought it over to Community, and the contractor was good enough to go smooth it out and grade it. And it was hydro-seeded, and it looks great. It's level.
Yeah, it is.
It'll be newly,
And it's growing.
it's growing, and all for a cost of considerably less than $6,000.
That's fantastic.
Wow.
I think we also got a donation from the Torpedoes, which is gonna drive it down even more, so.
Didn't they match it? That was my understanding, they matched it.
Yeah, it's just, I'm not gonna get into the number, but it's phenomenal what we
I
did
gotta
that
tell you, I'm
for.
embarrassed to say, I didn't even know that was going on. but
It's
that's
phenomenal.
fantastic, because that.
Good
So go have a look at it, and while you're there, look at the Mere Barn, which is also shaping up.
Yes, it is.
After surviving the winter there. There's a new cedar shake roof on it, and they're replacing the novelty siding, the barn novelty siding on it in the same color, and it looks pretty good, so that's, they're also making great progress on the turf field, but I'm gonna leave that to the turf field, Tom, or the turf field subcommittee to report on. Planning board next week, we're gonna have a virtual meeting again. There's actually only one item on the agenda that have a motion. It'll be the memorialization of the KL application, the memorializing resolution. Galasso has been postponed because that is not the type of application that would lend itself to a virtual meeting. So that's been carried until we're live again. That's all I'm going to report on, Tim.
All right, thanks, Tom.
I don't know.
Yeah, I have a couple of things. I'm gonna start at the beginning. Rampo Indian Hills, they've officially set their graduation for July 29th. I think there's a lot of happy parents in the three towns. They're looking forward to at least recognizing the students. I know there's a lot of parents that have approached me of 8th graders. I don't know, maybe Beth has some updates there, but they're looking to find out what they're doing locally here in Wyckoff. But I saw the many signs that were put up that we approved. I want to congratulate the class of 2020 both from Rampo and Indian Hills. Unfortunately, the one that we had placed at the, in front of the flagpole, government speech area, was swiped the end of last week, so the other ones are out and about and trying to bring goodwill to all those students and the parents. We talked at length about the outside dining and the subcommittee, so we don't need to go over that. We go right into Parks and Rec. Memorial Field is progressing. Almost all of the site work in the prep, drainage is totally installed. So they're doing some fencing now. One thing that was added, and this was timely, were sprinklers that not only have the ability to cool the field if needed, but has the ability of cleansing and washing down the field, which was timely and helpful during this COVID-19 challenge. So they have special heads that, as a team would finish on the field, they can go on and they literally rinse, and because the drainage is underneath, it would help with the field. So
And
Tim
there's
and I
no
were
water,
there the other day.
no water charges. It's gonna be from the seepage pits.
Right, it's all reworked and reprocessed. They're also receiving donations for the project. We accepted tonight the scoreboard from Lakeland Bank, thank you again. The pitcher's mound, we received one tonight. There's another pitcher's mound and some other items that are coming, so people are getting excited. And the $64,000 question is timing. All should be ready and finished by the end of the month. So we are looking forward to that. The carpet is ordered. It was reconfirmed, all the sizing. There was a little expansion that we were able to do in the field, which was all positive. And it's all been recorded, and that carpeting, we want to call it, is going to be coming through. And just as a reminder, the Memorial Field complex, where that is, remains closed. So it's closed due to construction. We also know, and Bob may be able to help me on this, the governor has now authorized sports, baseball, softball, team practices starting June 22nd. There's some girls and boys travel baseball and softball. The practices have been okay, not games yet, but the practices, team practices. It's also my understanding that Pullis is going to have the ability, starting on the 22nd as well, to have team practices. Memorial Field #1, baseball, and Andy, when I met with him this week, he reconfirmed that K-8 has approved the use of their fields for some of these team-related practices. As far as camps go, the governor has approved camps starting July 6th. And again, just for clarity, this year we're doing the camps in conjunction with the YMCA. The YMCA is on top of the guidelines from the governor's office. And just to remind folks, the K-4 children will be at Lincoln School. The 5 to 8 grade will be at Washington School. Both will be for 5 weeks. Traditionally, in the past, the K-4 gets about 100 kids a week. The 5 to 8 gets about 25 youngsters a week. And since this is all new, people are signing up. How many we're going to have, we're not sure, but at least there's some relief for campers and some sort of enthusiasm to look forward to as we go into the summer. And just for clarity, the following are open for passive recreation: Russell Park. And I want to compliment everybody that finished over there with the addition of the chess tables. Zabriskie Pond is obviously open. The Gardens of Wyckoff are open. Poolis is currently open for walking path only, even though there's a lot of people that want to open Poolis and get kids out on that field. no playgrounds are open. We're not allowed to have any playgrounds open. And then I spoke with Andy again about the Wildlife Center that still remains closed. A lot of people,
I got an update on that, Tom, so.
yeah, okay. And a lot of people want to go over there. Andy reported that it was closed, and that even though people are asking walking and biking, I know yesterday, we asked Tim in one of his calls.
I had
You
a
can find
20-minute
out.
call with Tedesco's office yesterday. I'll report on it.
Okay, so that'd be great, because we can't even get through on the phone, so that'd be fantastic. If it's good news, especially.
I think it will be.
All right, and that's it. Thank
Mr.
you.
Madigan?
Yes,
Madigan,
sir.
Can I just follow up on your report, and thank you for bringing that up. On the attachments was an email from Andy Winkfield. He's looking for the Township Committee approval
To open Pullis.
to open Pullis, Wyckoff Community Park, and Memorial One for use as permitted by
By
the
the executive
governor
order.
for traveling sport teams to perform practices. So I think it's important, since the governing body closed them, that you open them
Yes.
to that purpose.
I would like to make a motion to open those parks.
Excuse me, point of procedure, I think it would be better if you asked one of us to make a motion.
Fine, okay.
I mean, suggest it and ask one of us to make a
All right,
motion.
can somebody make a motion to open those fields?
I'll make the motion,
oh, sorry.
then I'll second it.
Okay, I'll make the motion to open the
I'll
fields that we
second.
just discussed.
Second.
A
Mr.
discussion?
Boonstra?
Discussion?
Just to clarify, it's for practices.
It's for what's permitted by the executive order.
Okay.
We have
Make a
discussion?
roll call, or no?
Mr. Madigan wants to discuss this further.
Okay.
Okay, so, for clarity, I just reported that it's my understanding that things are ready to go, which we're now approving for practices. But since we're on the subject, I think we should talk about practice and any other outdoor, particularly if you look at pullers. Are we saying no matter what, you can't use pullers other than practices? I mean, I see the kids jumping the fence there all the time. So I'm concerned, unless we want to create more and more signs, tell them, don't, I'm just bringing it up.
We've actually posted more signs this week to say that the field is closed. I believe it's open for walking, jogging, that type of thing. Are you suggesting that we, these type of things are enforced by the police department?
Yeah, my understanding is Andy locked the gates because people were going there to play sports, not just to walk.
Yeah, walks outside, correct.
The problem we have with the lock gates is that
They just hop the fence.
they have the fence, and somebody's gonna get injured, we're gonna have a lawsuit. Because we have the signs that say field is closed. You have to purposely ignore an official notice from the Township of Wyckoff.
Okay. So then is it permissible under what we're trying to do here, where we're opening on this motion, these particular fields for practice? The governor tomorrow at 9 AM says you can use them for anything, that we don't have to meet as a governing body, that somehow we put language in here now that we're okay with opening
I thought
them.
the language was whatever's permitted by the executive order.
Well, if I thought that, I wouldn't have brought it up. So if that's the language, can we get clarification from the attorney?
I know the
I'm just trying to be proactive, that's all.
I know the executive order said that practices were allowed. Did it speak to, like, small groups of kids playing, like, not an organized game, like a league or a rec sport?
Did he get that
He
definitive? with
said no
practices?
contact. That's
right.
the only thing, no contact.
Yeah, but we don't know what he's gonna say tomorrow, do we?
Right, well, that's why I said whatever is acceptable under the executive order.
That's the easiest
For
way to
any
do it. The
permission-
fields are open, consistent with the executive order for the governor of the state of New Jersey.
Okay, so can we make sure the language says that, please?
That was the only reason I was trying to do the motions, because I was gonna be
Yeah,
that
but it's
specific.
Well, if you can help us out.
In a communication to the public, I'd like to be a little bit more specific, because we can do that kind of on a rolling basis. That children can use the field. It's just, the only thing I believe they can't do at this point is organized games.
I read it today, I can't remember, do you have a copy with you, Don?
I have a couple of them. Do you remember which one it was?
It was the last one he did today, I think it was the one.
150?
It's athletic, practices with no contact, so he's not allowing basketball courts to be open because you're gonna have contact in basketball. You can't play a soccer game because you're gonna have contact in a soccer game.
It's 149.
Yeah, was it?
I don't have one.
I
But
can
those
look it up.
restrictions are probably gonna get loosened, like towards.
Scrimmaging, but you can have soccer, you can have passing, skill drills, things like that.
At the end-
There's directions in the executive order.
At the risk of sounding oversimplistic, Andy Wingfield has asked that we do this. I would think he would be the one to enforce
the-
whatever needs to be enforced.
Yep.
And if it doesn't work, we can reconsider our decision here. But in the meantime, he's made himself responsible for this by
Yeah.
asking.
And we should get the
What's-
field.
what's-
And I'm sure he is aware of,
No, I just know that the question is gonna come up, be it on Wyckoff Moms or something, can my kids go and kick around a soccer ball? Can they go with a few friends? Can they, that kind of question.
Essentially, they can, I believe.
So I want to make sure we know that they can they go play baseball with their friends in not an organized,
But for
game?
purpose, but you don't want to get that detailed in this
Right.
motion, we're just.
No, not in this motion, I just wanted a clarification, because I know we're gonna write something to the public
Right.
about this. So I
So-
figured since we're all together, we might as well clarify it.
Right, so we'll digest the executive order, make sure Andy knows, so questions can be funneled to Andy too, or to the town hall, and you guys will get all that information as well.
Okay, but when I brought it up initially, it was my spirit and the intent was that we're here today on June 4th. We have a meeting in 2 weeks, 16th. Then we don't have a meeting for another month in July. I just
Right.
want to make sure whatever we do, whatever we agree with, he's fine, that we do whatever we can to help our youngsters and our families
Right.
use the fields, be outside, and that nobody thinks they're waiting for the other guy because we didn't approve it. You know what I'm saying? That's all.
It's gonna open up as fast as the executive order,
Yes.
opens up, but I can tell you, for someone who goes to Pullis every morning and drink his coffee, the fields are packed and the kids are playing.
Yeah, I know, they're all over.
Yeah.
So that isn't objectionable, is it?
No.
Well, it's not permissible.
Well, yeah.
So-
They're,
Let's-
It might not be
everyone's-
objectionable, but it's not
Everyone's
permissible.
supposed to obey the law, and the law is, unfortunately now, the executive order.
Right, so you're gonna have a resolution that opens up the field, consistent with the executive order and is amended by the executive order.
Right.
That's fine, that's what you wanna do.
Yeah.
In the meantime, we're going to I'll go back, I wish I brought a copy of it, but I'll go back and read that executive order again, and I'll send you guys an email, I'll break
Okay,
it down, I'll
great.
send you an email
Thank
so
you.
you'll know how to answer residents, and I'll make sure Andy understands it.
Okay.
And Town hall
Well, that's
understands as well.
typically, those executive orders have been enforced by the police,
Yeah.
not Andy.
No, but if you get to Melissa's point, if questions are coming in as far as what can my child do, wouldn't have a problem with calling Andy unless you think they should be calling the police.
Yeah, they're enforced by the police and the Bergen County prosecutor.
But the point is, we don't want our residents calling the police on other residents because their kids are playing sports,
Right.
because they think they're playing a game, and games are prohibited by the executive
They think they're
order. So
practicing
it's
or-
best to just make sure we're all on the same page.
Right.
I agree.
And the police.
I'm just trying to make sure Tom's question is addressed. So there's not a clarification needed tomorrow.
That's right, clarification. I just want it to be as broad and flexible and as permissible by law and Governor Murphy.
Very good.
Right. That's it.
All right. Anything else, or can we call to a vote?
Okay.
Okay, read it back, what it says, so
Yes.
we know what we're voting on? Please?
Okay, this is a motion to open the fields of Community Park, Memorial One, Pullis Field, consistent with the governor's executive order currently in effect or as
Expanded in the future.
whereas expanded in the future regarding practices.
Regarding field
Use
use.
of such fields. For athletic
Use of
purposes.
such fields.
Are you okay with that, Melissa? That was your motion.
Yeah, that was fine with me.
Was my second,
And,
no, fine
and you,
with it as well.
okay, and Rudy's second. All right. Nancy, can you call to a vote?
Yes. Mr. Boonstra?
Yes.
Ms. Fisher?
Yes.
Ms. Rubenstein?
Yes.
Mr. Madigan?
Yes.
Mayor Shanley?
Yes. All right, Tom, you have anything else? You done? Okay. Melissa, you are up.
Sure. Went to Company 2. They received their new fire engine 235. And want to thank everybody who made that happen. It looks beautiful and they're super happy with it. So it was a great addition to the community. Also want to thank the fire department for their participation in the birthday parades and let everybody know the birthday parades were wonderful, came to an end Memorial Day weekend. So they are no longer going to be doing them now that things have opened up a little bit. But thank you to the people who took their time in the fire department and police department to make a lot of kids in town really happy during this time. The zoning board did not hear any new applications at the last meeting. There will be applications heard in June, so I'll report on it then, after the meeting. Want to welcome Nancy to your first meeting in Town Hall. Very nice to have you here.
Very much.
And lastly, on June 1st, I attended the raising of the pride flag at our government speech flagpole. And I want to thank everybody. The conversation began a year ago in this courtroom, and want to thank everybody who came and expressed their feelings and opinions, and especially the young people in our community who really put themselves out there, came to us and expressed what they were feeling, and it was a very nice ceremony. And I was happy to be able to bring my daughter Jillian to see it. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Beth.
So I don't have that much. There was a JIF safety meeting to go over safety and risk management issues. There is JIF online training available, which Bob recommends people look at and take. The safe patient lifting has been completed by the entire police department and ambulance corps, and the fire department and the DPW will also be completing that. Also, if you haven't downloaded the Mel app to your phone, please do that. I also attended the pride flag raising and was very glad to be there and glad that we did that. I reported on the composters. The concrete benches at Russell Farms look great. And regarding the 8th grade graduation, I haven't heard anything specifically from the Board of Ed, but I did attend the PTO meeting for Eisenhower, had a virtual PTO meeting, and according to Mr. Iacella, we will not be doing any in-person graduation. It's going to be more virtual. It's not going to be a ceremony, but the 8th graders are going to be recognized. They're going to get their caps and gowns. They're going to have photographs available. They're going to have their baby video. They're going to do a virtual yearbook signing. So there is going to be celebrations throughout the week in June before the last day of school, but there is not going to be any in-person promotion ceremony. And I stopped at the gardens of Wyckoff and the other day just to see how things were looking, and there happened to be some kids there building ramps. I saw Mr. Brackett there, so we spoke to them, told them that was not permissible, that's not the intention of using the gardens, and the DPW is going to disassemble them and make sure that paths are back to the way they're supposed to be. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Beth. All right, I will try to be brief. I do want to say that starting June is a much better place with this COVID-19 than when we were starting April and May. We're now progressing to where we're going to have further openings. On July 15th, our local businesses who are declared non-essentials, like our jewelry stores, our shoe stores, our children's clothes stores, and things of that nature, are going to be able to open 50% capacity. You're probably going to have to wear a mask and go in there. But please support our local businesses, our toy stores, our jewelry stores. They haven't been able to really sell anything, and we want them to survive and thrive in Wyckoff. So that is one of the further openings under the executive order, including the outside dining, which we've just approved tonight, and hopefully we can get that rolling. One of the great positives that was reported today by the state was hospitalizations went under 2,000 for the first time since March. They're at 1,982. And there were no new hospitalizations in the north region or the central region today. So we're getting to the point where people aren't in hospitals as much, and ventilator use is at only 13% capacity statewide. There's 537 in critical care, which is down from 612 of yesterday. So we're progressing in the right direction, where we're not having as much stress on our hospitals and our healthcare, and we're getting closer to our somewhat of a new normal. I hate using that, but the virus is still out there, so we still have to protect ourselves. And just know that if we're feeling ill, please, get tested. Testing is available at pharmacies now, so if you need to get tested for the COVID-19, go and get tested. You'll have your results in 2 or 3 days. I will just, I attended Fire 2's 235, the new fire truck, beautiful truck, well done. And when I was doing some of my gardening this weekend, 235 went by and beeped the horn, and it was beautiful seeing it on the road. So I was happy to raise the pride flag on June 1st, happy to see it flying there, and I was happy that we were able to live stream it, because I was concerned that there was going to be a large public gathering that was going to violate the executive order. And I didn't want the raising of the flag to be marked by a violation of the executive order. So by live streaming it, it turned out to be a very small event that was seen by people on video. So thank you, Bob, for live streaming that with me. And thank Joe Salerno for teaching me how to raise the flag. It's a great flagpole. I had never raised a flag where the ropes were on the inside of the pole. I mean, it's great because they don't wear out. I mean, when I used to raise the flag in school, I used to have to raise it on the outside. So, but those ropes would, fall apart pretty quickly due to the weather. So it's a great flagpole that we have up there. Reporting on my call with Tedesco, I had called his office and I sent an email and said, can you ask the executive to call me? He had one of his chief aides call me. They're working to hopefully open up the environmental center soon. I expressed to him that we have a lot of residents that like to ride their bikes and ride their bikes up through the parking lots because there's not that much traffic, and it's better than riding it on Crescent Ave or some Franklin Ave or some of the busier roads. And they're looking into it, and hopefully there will be something coming by the end of the week. So I'm going to keep my fingers crossed and hope that it's going to happen. I've also had numerous communications with the governor's office about our library. Our library is ready, willing, and able to open up in a safe manner so that residents can get books. And they'll protect the residents and they'll protect the employees who work there. There's been very little chatter from the governor on this, but today at the press conference, somebody from the press asked him a question about it, and I think he's ready to start talking about it. And unfortunately, Hansel's calling me right now, so I'm going to take this call because it's probably not good news. Hansel?
Hey, man, how are you?
I'm doing all right. I'm at a township meeting now. You're calling pretty late tonight, so.
Yeah, well, I was
Got a lot of stuff to do today.
All right, can you,
I'll make it quick. I'll just give you your numbers.
Yeah,
because I actually
please.
have to- You're my last phone call of the night.
Wyckoff always seems to be, because of the alphabet.
No, I just want to wrap this up. What do we have here for you? You have, let me go back to my thing, 393 and 74.
Okay, is that one more person who passed away from the last time?
Two.
Two.
It's two.
All right, because I don't have my numbers from the last time, so it's
Yeah,
two additional.
393 cases, 74 deaths.
The numbers that on, for assisted living facilities does not seem to have been updated since yesterday. When are they gonna update that? It says 6-3 still when I looked at it today, early, before my meeting.
Are you talking about the state?
Yes, that's state numbered. I thought they did it every day. How come it didn't get updated?
I have no idea. I don't know when they do their stuff. I know
All right.
I get a daily from my folks. I know they increased their numbers after we.
Well, that's where I'll get the numbers from the state site, because I have a feeling these new positives are likely from there.
Well, they have. Let me see right here. What do we have here? 20. I'll do some quick math. I know their numbers were up.
They had 115 of patients, so I'm just trying to see where they've gone since then.
I'm just looking at the deaths here. And another deaths.
I think their deaths were in about 50.
Yeah, something like that. Let me just do a quick tally here. What do we have here? Yeah, they adjusted. It was lower before, but we knew that was wrong. So,
Thank you.
that was yeah, I have 54.
54? Okay.
So out of that 74,
There are 54. Okay. All right, very good.
well, yeah, before I think it was like.
All right, thank you, Hansel. Let me get back to my meeting. Appreciate it. Take care. Bye. Sorry you got another taste of what it's like to get a phone call on this. So unfortunately, just keep the two additional residents who unfortunately died from this horrible virus in your thoughts and prayers, and just hopefully we don't get another call like this again. This pandemic has not been kind to a lot of people, especially these 74 who call Wyckoff home. So please keep them in your thoughts and prayers, and their families. With that, Bob, I'm going to turn it over to Rob for your report.
Why don't we hit this first? As Tim, as you were giving your report, I tracked down the Executive Order 149, so maybe I can explain a little bit what's going to happen with the sporting activities. As of June 22nd, the way it sits now, sporting activities will be allowed outdoors. And I think the easiest way to understand, or the easiest concept to understand is activities, not specific sports, but activities that the kids or the people do where they can stay 6 feet apart are going to be allowed. So they're going to allow, the governor's allowing activities that are routinely no contact sports, right? And activities that are routinely where people are 6 feet apart. So if you're playing soccer, you can pass, you can do dribbling drills or stay apart. You can shoot on goal, you're just staying 6 feet apart. You can shoot across balls, you can throw a football. You can do just about any sport, you're just gonna stay 6 feet apart. And we're gonna get more direction, I guess guidance from the Commission and Department of Health before the 22nd. So as that comes in, we'll make sure everybody has that, okay? From my report, we got signed and we filed an interior block parking agreement for the new bank across the street here. I reviewed and I approved an assumption of risk waiver that Andy's gonna use for the, I guess, the travel team sports or sports that are gonna pick up later this summer. We talked about the sign illumination ordinance. Rudy, thanks for that, Rudy helped with that, and Bob helped with that. The outdoor dining resolution, Bob helped with that, thank you, thanks to Tim and Tom. The only other thing I wanted to bring up, and it keeps coming up, and I guess it's timely now, especially since we were talking about the outdoor dining and ways to help our commercial businesses within town. Not just because of the pandemic, but businesses in town have changed. I mean, retail has in large part gone away, and it's really time for the town, I think, to take a look at their parking requirements. A lot of towns are getting more up to date as far as, I would say, updating their parking requirements, as far as new uses coming in. I'm not saying we've got a lot of vacancies now, but you don't want to see it in the future. And
Right.
the times are changing, so you might want to create a subcommittee on that, or talk to your planner about that. One specific use, where without exaggeration, I probably get one call a week from property owners in town frustrated with not being able to fill space or bring a new tenant, is the parking requirements for hair salon, nail salon,
Right.
barbers. However that got in when we revamped it 15, 20 years ago, whatever it was, the 1 per 50 is just
I know,
about
I brought that
prohibitive.
up a couple times.
Right, so I
That comes up all the time.
I talked to Bridget today, because she's working on the reexamination, and her suggestion was, and she agreed, and her suggestion was 1 per 200. I mean, I think she would suggest 1 per 200 for most retail, probably other than restaurants and medical use, but that's a conversation down the road. But I'd like, at least for now, to have permission, at least to change for the nail salons, the hair salons, and get something in front of you guys. You can vote on it or not, but maybe I can have something for the next meeting, so we can at least act on that one aspect.
I'm okay with it.
I'm
My
in
only-
favor of that.
Okay?
I'm certainly good with it because it's been coming up, but it's clearly been my understanding for the last few months, not several, but few, that all this and the parking and the updates was gonna be part of the master plan. And maybe I'm wrong, but the master plan's due the middle of July, isn't it like next month anyways?
I think it's a reexamination, and I don't think it's gonna entail parking changes. Not from my conversation with her today, but I could be wrong. It's a reexamination.
Yeah, it seems like it's just a
It's not a new
reexamination.
master plan, but it's a reexamination.
Okay, so, just for clarification, so if I was wrong, I was wrong. So, as far as it was gonna incorporate the parking, because this goes back to last fall into early spring. So if you're gonna make a recommendation on this, can we get recommendations on overall, if we have a look at our overall parking? Just for that reason, she was the one that did Ridgewood a year ago. That's when I brought it up. That was a
Okay, so
year
I'll-
ago when she did Ridgewood.
I'll call her back tomorrow, get clarification as
Let's
to
do
whether or
them
not
all.
the reexamination, but just so you understand, the reexamination gives suggestions and it talks about what should be done or could be done. They're not specific ordinance changes, so it won't, that.
No, I'm
document-
separating the two.
Okay.
I'm now separating it officially, and I'm glad we're separating it because it looks like I would have been disappointed come July when it was just a master plan, and nothing to do with the parking ordinances, which I thought we were gonna do based upon
Yeah.
last year, input from several people, and when I was on the planning board with Mr. Boonstra. So that was a planning board thing. A year ago, we wanted to do it, so.
The master plan is your document which kind of gives
Okay.
guidance and direction on what your zoning ordinances should do. And then you guys actually adopt those zoning ordinances, which implement the desires and the directions of the master plan. So I'm just saying, at least with this one use, which we know has been a problem for years, I can get the ordinance going on it now and save you some time.
That was my question when I had emailed everybody about who approves the master plan and if we got a chance to look at it. That was what I was trying to get at, was whether we would have, a say in the parking requirements. So that answers my
You do the
question.
ordinance, which is.
That answers
the
my
ordinance is
question,
the-
yeah.
the-
Okay.
We do
The
the
be all
ordinance.
end all, yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Anything else?
For clarity, you were just given guidance to prepare an ordinance amendment, is that correct?
It's not, that won't take me long. That's a quick one. I'll prepare it, I'll put it in front of you, and you can do what you want with it.
Okay, good.
Okay?
Great. All right, do we have anything else, or do we want to go into closed session?
I I think we're ready to go into closed session unless a member of the governing body
Yep, that's what
wants
I'm
to
asking.
discuss something else.
All right,
I said to go.
all right, can I get a motion to go into closed session?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Boonstra?
Yes?
Ms. Fisher?
Yes.
Ms. Rubenstein?
Yes.
Mr. Madigan?
Yes.
Mayor Shanley?
Yes. Okay, we are going into closed session, so the video is gonna be going off. Good night, everyone.